Hello, friends, and happy Monday. Thank you for joining us. We're starting off with a look at our radar as snow moves through the area today. Many people so excited about this. Those flakes just stopped coming down, and some of our roads could be slippery. Ben's out in the backyard with a look at how much we can expect today. Ben, I know a lot of snow happy people today.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, for those snow happy people, we're not going to get a ton of snowfall with today's snow, but it starts sort of a string of snow opportunities that will be with us later this week as well. So this will not be the only snowfall we see this week. As Alexis mentioned, the snow, at least around the Twin Cities, has taken a lull. You can see that arm that stretches just north of the metro through the southwestern part of the state. That's part of a larger storm system that mainly is actually going to miss us to the south. You can see that swirl that's south of Omaha, Nebraska. Areas in Iowa, southern Wisconsin, they're going to get slammed with snowfall while we get kind of a brushing edge here on the Twin Cities metro. We've got various alerts, including a winter weather advisory that includes areas near and west of St. Cloud and southwestern Minnesota. That's where the heaviest snow is going to fall over the next 12 hours, potentially double-digit readings for Marshall, Laverne, the Worthington area. We'll talk more about the impacts that it's going to be making for us later this week. But first, let's toss it over to Cece for a look at the roads this morning. What are you seeing, Cece?
Hey everybody, yeah, I can really confirm today that the roads are slick after that little bit of snow we got, and it's confirmed here on 35 South down in Lakeville. Actually, there was a semi off in the ditch, and it's just cleared maybe 10 minutes ago, but it was a big deal for a couple of hours. I was monitoring it down to one lane, a lot of backups. You're kind of seeing the end of that backup happening right there. So traffic moving along nicely there. But again, roads are slick, so be careful if you go out for lunch at any point in the next couple of hours. And as you can kind of see with the big map around the Twin Cities, a lot more yellow and some red, a lot more than we usually see at this time this afternoon. So I'll be back in a couple of minutes and showing you those tricky spots in other places other than the Twin Cities. Alexis.
Cece, thanks for keeping an eye on that. Thank you. New at noon, the Minneapolis City Council has now elected its newest president and vice president. Just 2 hours ago, the new council began its first meeting. They elected Elliot Payne, the new council president, and Asha Chugtai as vice president. The council is also expected to vote on a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Members will ask the federal government to withdraw support for Israeli military operations against Hamas. Today, hundreds of flights are being canceled as the grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes continues. It comes after a door of one of the planes was blown off mid-flight. Tom Costello brings us the biggest development overnight.
This morning, a critical discovery after that very close call in the skies.
I'm excited to announce that we found the door plug.
The NTSB saying overnight a teacher in Portland contacted investigators after he found the missing piece, a door plug, in his backyard 2 days after the decompression explosion at 16,000 feet, which twisted and bent nearby seats and sucked the headrests and cushions out of the 737 MAX 9.
Alaska, or Seattle, Alaska, 1282, we just pressurized, we're declaring emergency.
One teenage boy had his shirt pulled off of him. A sock was found stuck in the plane's frame. One flight attendant suffered a knee injury. The NTSB chief says if it had happened at a cruising altitude, 34,000 feet, it could have been deadly, with passengers pulled out of the hole.
There could have been some significant consequences for the passengers that were seated in that area of the plug and throughout the cabin, really.
As cold wind ripped through the cabin, the force of the explosion pulled the cockpit door open, slamming it against the lavatory. Passengers describe terror on board.
There was a big boom or a mini explosion in the rear of the plane.
My focus in that moment was just breathe into the oxygen mask and trust that the flight crew will do everything they can to keep us safe.
It happened behind the plane's left wing, where a hole is cut for an optional emergency exit. But Alaska Airlines didn't need it, so the door was plugged and sealed, leaving an ordinary window. Investigators will look at whether that plug was properly bolted in place during manufacturing. Meanwhile, the FAA has grounded 171 MAX 9s in the U.S., forcing Alaska and United Airlines to cancel hundreds of flights.
We're following controversy on Capitol Hill regarding who was and was not told about the hospitalization of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. CNN reports Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks was not told what was going on when she took over his duties last week. He began undergoing treatment in the ICU last Tuesday, but Hicks and President Biden both did not hear about it until Thursday. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs General was notified on Tuesday, but is not in the chain of command. We still have not heard why Austin is in the hospital. In Minneapolis, police are investigating a suspicious death after finding a body yesterday afternoon. Officers showed up to a vacant house on 30th Avenue North near Lindell Avenue just after 1 p.m. They say they found a man's body in a garbage bin in the garage. Police say no one has been arrested. Today, we know 3 of the children found in a St. Paul home during a fire have died. The father, Pa-Sheng Vang, says his 5-year-old twins and 4-year-old have died. We heard from him for the first time this weekend, and he's sharing a message for families.
So I highly encourage every single family, at least a quarter or a semester, to start practice fire drill at home, especially in the middle of the night. Yeah, at least, teach your kids, that's just a drill practice at home, learn how to call 911.
Vang also thanked his community for their support, including a GoFundMe that now raised more than $400,000. We have a link to that GoFundMe over at KARE11.com. A police chase across the West Metro has been caught on camera, and you can see the driver push through a lane, hitting several cars along the way. Eden Prairie police say the car also hit more than half a dozen vehicles on the off-ramp from Highway 212 onto Prairie Center Drive. One person was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Officers did eventually catch the driver and arrest them.